So, welcome to chapter 7 of The Phoenix Within. This is our story where you can become the hero or the heroine by simply using your imagination to be a part of the tale. In the 6 chapters so far, we have been following Morgan, our protagonist, who you can create to be whoever you want Morgan to be. And if you haven't had the chance to join us so far, I tell this story in first person with a minimal description so that everyone listening or reading when it becomes the blog can fill in the details and make the story more relevant for you. So Morgan is going through a bit of a rut at the start of the story. Life just felt difficult. But then Morgan learned a few new things from a webinar, some books from the library, and a seminar. Morgan got a second job and is shifting their view of the world. Life is up and down, but Morgan feels much more positive about everything. Life should just be so much more than the usual born, school, good grades, get a job, get married, have a family, work until you retire with some weekends and maybe 4 weeks off a year if you're lucky, retire and hopefully have enough to pay for your funeral and some nice bits for the grandkids. But in chapter 6, Morgan got something that they wanted, and they started to believe more in the power of the information that they're reading. They're getting lots of little hints from people and things in their world that reinforce a new belief that actually we all get to choose how our life goes. So let's find out what happens next and what Morgan will do with this information. So, chapter 7, is life a reflection? It's Thursday today. I've woken up with an immense feeling of calm excitement, and it feels amazing. All this stuff I'm learning at the moment from the books, my friend's webinar, conversations at the coffee shop, and yesterday's seminar is so eye-opening. It almost feels like all the years I have spent being told I'm wrong and feeling that I'm unworthy were actually all lies. They all know the secret, and it feels like they are guiding me towards it rather than pushing me down the route we're seemingly supposed to live. The quiet road, where we just do our work and no more, where we ask for some time off and build someone else's life by working hard for their company. Maybe life didn't really need to be as hard as it has been. All those years in school being made to feel stupid because I wasn't top of the class. I wasn't the bottom either. I was simply in the middle of the road, average Joe, not really disliked, but not really liked either. It was the same at home. My parents did their best, of course, but constant criticism and comments comparing me to siblings or cousins or the neighbours' kids does tend to make you feel a bit unworthy. I think it was done to try and give me a kick up the bum, but it had the opposite effect. I didn't want to be like the other kids, so I just kept moving further away from who they were. But who I was, who I am, never seemed to be good enough. And that is the biggest message I'm taking away from all this information. I am good enough. Me, Morgan, is exactly who I should be. There is no one else who can be me, and I can't be anyone else. And if people don't like who I choose to be, then that's their problem, I guess. But who do I want to be? I'm definitely not the same person who laid here 6 weeks ago dreading going to work, nor am I the person I want to be yet. I can feel that there is still something not quite there. Maybe because the rent is due next week and my pay hasn't arrived in my bank yet from my old job. The person I want to be, that I guess anyone wants to be, would not have to worry about things like that. Nor would they have to think really carefully about where to buy a new coat and boots, where the quality is still going to last a while, without costing too much. That's a later job. It's only just past 7 in the morning. The question comes up again. Who do I want to be? I get up out of bed to get a notepad and pen and then jump back into bed and write the question at the top. I guess the best place to start is to write what I want. So I do that. My old list easily streaming from my mind to the paper. The better job, bigger house, traveling, the rabbit, monthly manicures, pedicures, weekly massages, to be fitter and healthier. I look at my list and my mind fills with the images of all these things. And I notice that I'm almost looking down on myself while I'm living that life and having those things. So I start to describe that Morgan that I can see in my imagination. The way my hair looks, the clothes I'm wearing, people around me, my personality traits, which I feel I have already, just not to that extent. But actually, the more I look at that Morgan, the more I see that everything they are is who I am now. But me now is just muting myself, playing down these traits, not speaking out or doing the things I know I should be doing, keeping me in a box while I try to act in a way that conforms to other people's expectations of me. Where did that thought come from? It makes a lot of sense. We see a few people who are actually doing what their heart desires. The really happy and successful ones who have a dream, know what they want, and are not afraid to go and get it. Then the majority of us play it small, play safe. As long as we have shelter, food, people who love us, then that is enough. Then, I guess to me at least, there are the rest of us, wanting to dream and escape where we are now to where we want to go, but too afraid to let go of what we already have. Stuck in the middle in some way between those who are getting their dreams and those who stay contented with what they have. I think I'm in the middle. I want so much more than I have now. And these books and talks all make me believe that I'm capable of getting it. But still, I'm not willing to take the risk. What if I lose it all? Lose all that I have now on the way to where I want to go? It feels almost like jumping off a perfectly good boat into the water with no life jacket and only a rough idea of which direction to swim in. That's a good analogy, actually. The boat represents my life now, floating along, being taken by the tide and wind wherever it may go, but on board is everything I need. It has food, shelter, safety, comfort, entertainment, other people to interact with, but that's it. There isn't anything more. And I think it's the more that I'm wanting. But then that thought makes me feel very selfish. Maybe an upbringing of being told to be grateful for what I have, as others have even less than me, is the cause of that feeling. Because yes, my life isn't amazing. It could be so much more. But there are others living in cardboard boxes or in a war zone, people who eat the same amount in a week that I'm able to provide for myself every day. I should be grateful. But then I look at my list, and various voices and pieces of information tell me that I deserve so much more. I was created to live to the utmost of my abilities, and I am not doing that. I know I have so much more to give, and through that giving, I will then get all the things that I want in my life. Surely that's not selfish, is it? To be able to give more to others, I must first have something to give. I guess that's why I get so much fulfillment from working at the coffee shop. It's an opportunity to help others. The coffee shop owner is to have a better work-life balance while still having a good income. The customers by providing their favorite drink and food that they've chosen to spend their money on, regardless of how they earned it. So what more can I do? Who am I? And where do I want to be? I look up from my notepad and a half dozen papers covered in my mind's wanderings. No, wanting more is not selfish because my having more means others can have more as well. I stretch and decide to have some breakfast. I brought home some snacks that were left over last night, so I put them on a plate while the water for my morning drink boils. Who do I want to be? The question is still mulling around in my head as I make my drink and take it to the table with my breakfast and notepad. I decide to draw a stick person on the next clean page and start writing words as they pop into my head. Descriptive words about my appearance, my personality, my morals and beliefs. Just individual words and some short sentences. I just let my imagination take over and write whatever comes to mind. And when I'm finished, it's like looking at in some sort of distorted mirror. Everything on the page in front of me reflects the person that I am now, just less suppressed. I guess that would be why the images in my head of future me are so bold and amazing. And my current reality is, well, suppressed. As the speaker said yesterday, we are what we think. And I know for a fact that while one minute I'm thinking about all the things I want and the person I want to be, the next I'm thinking that that will never be me. I can't do those things or be that person. And yet, this page of doodles and words says that I am already capable, as the building blocks for all of those things are inside me already. I just need to build on them. I guess that's when I then come unstuck. I know what I should be doing, but I'm almost scared to do it because what if I fail? What if I screw it all up like everyone says I always do and end up homeless, jobless, and on the street in a cardboard box? My cardboard box house I made for my seventh Christmas was the most amazing thing in the world to my 7-year-old self, but it was in a nice warm home, not outside under a bridge. My right ear and my forehead are both burning and aching at the same time. It's the weirdest sensation, and I have butterflies in my stomach that are definitely not caused by my breakfast. I think I need to get outside for a walk. So I clear up my breakfast things, have a quick shower so my mind does not have time to start running away with itself again, get dressed, and head out to go and upgrade my coat and buy some wellies. The walk feels good, almost freeing. The air is fresh, but not too cold, and there are not many people around. I know of a discount store not far from home that should stock what I need and not be too expensive, so I head there. A quick look around, trying on various coats and boots before making my decision. A coat with a removable liner was just as cheap as buying a thicker coat, and some more boot-like wellies that are a whole lot more comfortable and will also be suitable for work. Saves me needing to carry spare shoes. I pay, then walk home in my new boots to give them a trial run. Once home, I decide to sit and read the rest of Think and Grow Rich before starting on psycho-cybernetics. Again, I am itching to read the book the speaker gave me, but the library books need to be returned. Mid-afternoon, I head over to the coffee shop for my afternoon shift. The owner greets me warmly, and I ask where the other barista is who usually works Thursday. Apparently, disappeared off the face of the earth. No word from them in just over a week now. I hope they're okay. If I knew a little more about them, then I would pop over after work, but I don't know much more than their name and a little about their family and their dreams of being a star on stage. Maybe they got that big break they were always talking about. The owner smiles and says they hope so. They just wish they would get in touch so they knew whether they needed to hire someone new or keep the job open. I suggest maybe just until the weekend, and then it would be 2 weeks, which to me seemed a fair amount of time with no contact. This is a business after all, and Thursdays the owner usually works in one of the other shops. Conversation turns towards how my week has been, and as it is quiet in the shop before the after school mini rush, I tell them all about the seminar last night. They listen intently as I recount the bits I heard and my thoughts about them. They seem as interested as I am. I'm still getting used to speaking with someone who actually cares about what I'm saying enough to listen and discuss it. And discuss it we do. I also mentioned my musings that morning and how life feels so different now compared to even 2 weeks ago, even though nothing has physically changed since I lost my main job. It definitely proves that what we think impacts on how we see and interact with the world. The owner agrees, and our conversation is cut short by the arrival of the first afternoon customers. They stay for the initial rush and then head off to the other shop shortly after. It's my pleasure to man the shop for the rest of the day and lock up at the end. The shift goes well, few regulars, lots of conversations, and everyone is happy with their drinks. I even seem to get more tips as well for some reason, and a few quiet moments where I can sit and read some more of Psycho-Cybernetics. Once all the jobs are done, ready for the morning, I lock up and go straight home, as dusk has already been and gone, and it will be dark soon. I have a shower and tuck into the sandwich and piece of cake that would not be good for sale tomorrow, and continue reading through Psycho-Cybernetics. I don't notice the letter still hanging from my letterbox. This book is slightly more scientific than the others I've read so far, but seems to be following the same sort of ideas. The bit I was reading in the shop was all of the introduction pieces. But now I turned to chapter 1, and it's called The Self-Image, Your Key to a Better Life. Self-image. That's what I was writing about this morning. So let's see. During the past decade, a revolution has been quietly going on in the fields of psychology, psychiatry, and medicine. This book was written in the 60s. So the past decade would have been 1950. New theories and concepts concerning the self have grown out of the work and findings of clinical psychologists, practicing psychiatrists, and cosmetic or so-called plastic surgeons. New methods growing out of these findings have resulted in rather dramatic changes in personality, health, and apparently even in basic abilities and talents. Chronic failures have become successful. F students have changed into straight A pupils within a matter of days with no extra tutoring. Shy, retiring, inhibited personalities have become happy and outgoing. Writing in the January 1959 issue of Cosmopolitan magazine, T.F. James summarizes the results obtained by various psychologists and MDs as follows. Understanding the psychology of the self can mean the difference between success and failure, love and hate, bitterness and happiness. The discovery of the real self can rescue a crumbling marriage, recreate a faltering of a career, and transform victims of personality failure. On another plane, discovering your real self means the difference between freedom and the compulsions of conformity. So it's a choice then. You get to choose to keep playing it small and being that person everyone seems to think you are, or you get to choose to go and discover your real self. Your key to a better life. Let's see what it says. The most important psychological discovery of this century is the discovery of the self-image. Whether we realize it or not, each of us carries about with us a mental blueprint or picture of ourselves. It may be vague and ill-defined to our conscious gaze. In fact, it may not be consciously recognizable at all, but it is there, complete down to the last detail. This self-image is our own conception of the sort of person I am. It has been built up from our own beliefs about ourselves. But most of these beliefs about ourselves have unconsciously been formed from our past experiences, our successes and failures, our humiliations, our triumphs, and the way other people have reacted to us, especially in early childhood. From all these, we mentally construct a self or a picture of self. Once an idea or a belief about ourselves goes into this picture, it becomes true, as far as we personally are concerned. We do not question its validity, but proceeds to act upon it just as if it were true. This self-image becomes a golden key to living a better life because of two important discoveries. First, all your actions, feelings, behaviors, even your abilities, are always consistent with this self-image. In short, you will act like the sort of person you conceive yourself to be. Not only this, but you literally cannot act otherwise, in spite of all your conscious efforts or willpower. The man who conceives himself to be a failure type person will find some way to fail, in spite of all his good intentions or his willpower, even if opportunity is literally dumped in his lap. The person who conceives himself to be a victim of injustice, one who was meant to suffer, will invariably find circumstances to verify his opinions. That makes me think of my granddad. He was so adamant at all times that everyone was out to get him. And it seemed that everyone always was. Even when you met the nicest person on the planet, somehow at some point, something would happen and that person would turn against him. It was almost, well, it was every single time. It goes on to say, the self-image is a premise, a base, or a foundation upon which your entire personality, your behavior, and even your circumstances are built. Because of this, our experiences seem to verify and thereby strengthen our self-images, and a vicious or a beneficent cycle, as the case may be, is set up. For example, a schoolboy who sees himself as an F-type student or one who is dumb in mathematics will invariably find that his report card bears him out. He then has proof. A young girl who has an image of herself as the sort of person nobody likes will indeed find that she is avoided at the school dance. She literally invites rejection. Her woe-begone expression, her hand-dog manner, her over-anxiousness to please, or perhaps her unconscious hostility towards those she anticipates will affront her, all act to drive away those whom she would attract. In the same manner, a salesman or a businessman will also find that his actual experiences tend to prove his self-image is correct. Because of this objective proof, it very seldom occurs to a person that his trouble lies in his self-image or his own evaluation of himself. Tell the schoolboy that he only thinks he cannot master algebra, and he will doubt your sanity. Tell the salesman, or so he has tried and tried, and still his report card tells the story. Tell the salesman that it is only an idea that he cannot earn more than a certain figure, and he can prove you wrong by his order book. He knows only too well how hard he has tried and failed. Yet, as you will see later, most almost miraculous changes have occurred both in students' grades and in the earning capacity of salesmen when they were prevailed upon to change their self-image. Interesting. So you find the evidence to prove what you think about yourself and how your self-image is. It's an interesting concept. What's the second important discovery? That the self-image can be changed. Numerous case histories have shown that one is never too young or too old to change his self-image and thereby start to live a new life. I guess that's what I've been doing without realizing it or knowing it. It says, one of the reasons it has seemed so difficult for a person to change his habits, his personality, or his way of life has been that heretofore nearly all efforts at change have been directed to the circumference of the self, so to speak, rather than to the center. Numerous patients have said to me something like the following: if you are talking about positive thinking, I've tried that before and it just doesn't work for me. However, a little questioning invariably brings out that these individuals have employed positive thinking or attempted to employ it, either on particular external circumstances or on some particular habit or character defect. I will get that job. I will be more calm and relaxed in the future. This business venture will turn out right for me, etc. But they have never thought to change their thinking about the self that was to accomplish these things. So nothing in life is going to change unless you believe it already has, is what I get from that. I think I might have to sleep on that, maybe. Have some more thinking time. Maybe mull it over a bit more as I'm cleaning tomorrow morning. But it's definitely interesting, isn't it? You get to change and decide who you want to be by shifting your self-image in your mind. That's a very interesting concept. But I think that's for later. It's time to get my head down now. I have work tomorrow. Let's see what tomorrow will bring. And that's chapter 7. Thank you for joining me. As always, if you have any comments, any suggestions about where the session's going to go next, please feel free to get in touch. Share it far and wide. And I mentioned the book You Were Born Rich in chapter 6, but then forgot to mention that if you ever want a copy of it, then you simply just need to send me a message and I can send you the PDF version. As a Proctor Gallagher consultant myself, I can share that PDF book with whomever I think it's going to help, which is pretty much everyone. But for now, it is time to switch off, get my own head down, similar to what Morgan's doing. And I look forward to seeing you same place, same time, hopefully actually streaming properly rather than being on my phone on Facebook and Zoom recording and StreamYard doing very well at doing LinkedIn. And I will see you on Thursday. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye.